He was a good little player. You know, it's the first time he's returned a kickoff in a long time in a real game and made a nice run. And you know, he's bouncing around making some plays for us.
That scoreboard too low, and is it going to be an issue?
It's an issue. Yeah, it'll be an issue. I'm sure the Cowboys, the league, or somebody will say, I shouldn't have to, you know, throw a flag out there, and because they didn't see the ball hit the scoreboard. Now it's not necessarily their responsibility. Once fair catch signal is given, then there's no eyes on the ball anymore, and so they don't see it. So something has to get worked out. Yeah, it could become a problem.
Did you have conversations with anybody before the game? Because I know you had some guys.
Oh yeah, well, you know, both of our punters hit the ball. Hit the, you know, the whatever you call it up there, and so yeah, something has to get worked out.
What positives do you take out of today's game?
The negatives, the corrections, what we correct. That's part of preseason.
Tenor Davis got the start here at safety, and he played.
They're committing to move the video board up. Is that something that you think has to be addressed and has to be fixed?
You know, it's something that the league will look at. My opinion doesn't matter. You know, the only issue I have to deal with is Trapasso thought he was going to get around to take it to wide for two if he hit the board, and so I explained to him he didn't.
Is that something that the competition committee will talk about?
You know, I think it's going to be more. It'll probably fall more in the hands of game ops than it will a competition committee. Now, if there's any modifications of rules or something down the line, then the committee would have to get involved.
Jeff, along those lines, when you went into the stadium and looked at the board, did you think, gosh, that's hanging low there? Did it look like?
Well, when I walked out for the first time, Craig was standing there, and Craig said, "How high is the bubble?" And I said, "I'm not quite sure. You know, I think it's probably 85 feet, something like that." He says, well, "There's going to be a problem here," and because I think he hit it, you know, the first three times he punted the ball.
You think that the right the ball was 85?
I'm guessing probably 75 to 80 feet.
What are the biggest concerns aside from having to stop the play and having to do over with injury? Problem stop the play and having to do over with injury. Problem there.
Well, if you're going to repeat the play, yeah. I mean, there's a slightly higher injury rate associated with special teams plays than it is normal scrimmage plays. But, I mean, the issues are who's going to see it? You know, who's going to see the ball actually strike the structure? Because the officiating mechanics, they don't follow the fly of the ball, specifically once fair catch is signaled. Because now they all have different responsibilities. The back judge eyes now have to go exclusively on the return man to be able to identify any kind of fair catch interference or those kind of things. So who's going to see it? And then, you know, replay was not designed for those types of things. And, you know, as a coach, I certainly don't want to have to be forced to use a challenge for that, because the challenges are you know, I mean, your challenge opportunities, I mean, there's a premium on those. You know, you get the first two right, you get a third, but you know, that just was not designed to be following that replay envelope. And then you have other situations involved too. I mean, there's different strategic kicks and things like that could be affected.
So maybe cut off his route or slow his route up on the deep ball from Vince there.
He didn't see the ball. He never tracked the ball at all. I don't know. He may have been watching the commercial. I don't know.
On the deep ball, I mean, was there potential touchdown there on the deep ball with Britt? I think the play before that, Vince underthrew a little bit.
There was I mean, Kennedy did a great job separating, and the ball was underthrown a little bit. I thought, you know, we could have made a case for, you know, pass interference, but it didn't happen. He came back and made a good throw to Dominic, but he couldn't track the ball.
It seems like you had a couple snap problems last week in practice, and then, you know, one last night. Anything?
Shotgun or under center?
Yeah, under center.
Well, there are issues. The center's responsibility and some specific run plays against this front changes. So at times Leroy will leave a little quicker than the quarterback anticipates. But again, you know, we as coaches, we're going to open the season against that same front. These are good things to happen in the preseason.
How would you assess the play of the second group of corners and safeties that were in last night. Burdine, as far as injuries from the game, anybody?
Larry's was just wind. He returned. We didn't have anything in the ball game that would be of any concern. Quarterbacks are a little sore, but
Would you have potentially cut camp short if you had a limited number of penalties?
who was talking?
Somebody on Twitter.
Really? Yeah. I would have given him a couple evenings off. Yes. The over/under was 5. We had 7, but there was 4 or 5 that were declined. So they didn't have a chance, and I knew it.
Is that a pre-game challenge or during the week challenge?
You'll have to check Twitter.
The penalties a little bit of an issue.
Penalties came down. We had some that were unnecessary, and we had some that I disagreed with. Had a couple holds that I really didn't want to see called. We had a couple on special teams that were unnecessary.
You having to rein Chuck in a little bit because his emotions on the sidelines second week in a row.
It's not unusual for coaches to get excited on the sideline. He had every reason to be excited, as I did in that particular situation.
The reception in Dallas, they were asking about if you had Trapasso intentionally on and off the scoreboard.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, he was going after the free round trip ticket. So, yeah.